The dreaded Paimon barrier. With just the mention of it, you're probably already hearing those words. But in case you aren't,
How about we explore the area ahead of us later?
No, Paimon. I don't think I will wait until later. Your tyrannical powers of puppeteering are no longer of any use. At least until this awesome glitch gets patched. What do we got? One version update? Two if we're lucky? Let's make haste, because we're going on an adventure to explore lands Paimon would otherwise forbid us from reaching. Our expedition for today is to stretch a land between Fontaine and Mondstadt, which also comprises the northern border of Sumeru. First up, there's this random flower atop a rock that's tucked away in a corner that borders Fontaine and Sumeru's desert. Obviously, a flower in the desert like this is really out of place, to the point it almost feels like it might have been part of an idea that was later scrapped. Maybe a quest or whatever. There's a waterfall here, too, as well as a tree that's stuffed into the mountain. This spot is just barely beyond the Paimon barrier, so I imagine one could glimpse it without the need for any glitches. Let us move eastward. There are a number of things to see in this direction, starting with a giant tree. Perhaps you're thinking, that's not so giant, and certainly, it's no windrise, but it's big. And given all the other trees in the area are a fraction of its size, I think that warrants a landmark designation. You can find the tree here on the map. As we're still within the regions of Sumeru and Fontaine, I'm unsure of what this place could be. If there are any lore experts watching, feel free to comment your theories. I don't think any additional Sumeru regions have been named besides those already on the in-game map, but, you know, might have missed something. We continue east. Our next landmark. Nope, there's a tiny island in the middle. Taking in the surroundings from atop it, we have waterfalls to the north, another waterfall, though shorter, to the east, a stream stretching towards the south, with cliffs and hills to the west. I followed the stream south to see where it leads. It eventually widens to become the waters around Chakratum Cave, Sumeru City, Vimara Village, reaching all the way to Port Ormos. Well, I'll be. All waters indeed do lead to Fontaine. Have they been designing the map with that in mind all along? Impressive. Can't wait to see how they connect Cider Lake. Back in the spot with the waterfalls and island, let's continue east. A neat thing about that spot is the waterfalls in the north and the waterfall in the east come from two separate bodies of water. The northern ones come from Fontaine, while the east ones is sourced from an unnamed area. Look at that. Can clearly see where the water begins and ends by looking at the change of color in the terrain. I do wonder if perhaps this area could be part of Chenyu Vale. We're still north of Sumeru, but also only a bit west of Liyue. There's also Qiaoying Village and Yilong Wharf to consider. Were I to plot those two towns on the map, given what I've seen out here, I think I would pin them as shown, with the area containing them being Chenyu Vale. But again, this is simply guesswork based on landmarks existing out here. It's entirely possible Chenyu Vale is more to the north of Liyue, instead filling in an area west of Stormtear's Lair and Chinksa Village, which happens to be the next stop on our adventure. No, wait. This bridge. This random bridge between two stone pillars west of Liyue. A bridge that has been taunting players since forever. I've but one question. No, it's not, what's that bridge? That has never been my question, even when I could only gaze upon it from a distance atop Mount Hulao. My question has always been, why is there a bridge? Who built it? What purpose does it serve? Has anyone ever actually used it? Where did they think people were trying to go? From one empty rock formation to the next? I can now scratch two of those questions off the list. It has indeed been walked. And where I went, was from one empty rock formation to the next. Now then, the area west of Chenyu Village. The thing that stands out most is definitely the island in the center. It's large and surrounded by an even larger body of water. I followed the bank north until it took me to a lake, surrounded on all sides by tall hills or mountains. There's a convenient spot to stand on in the lake. There were a few of them in the area. Hold up, what are you doing way out here, little fella? Given I haven't seen any animals or collectible plants out here, wood cutting excluded, I'm going to assume they're showing up because I'm in this narrow part between two inbound areas. Well, we've made it all the way to Mondstadt. Specifically, all the way to that western gate that, like the bridge, has taunted us since day one. Let's head back towards Fontaine. This time, however, we'll be staying below the water level. Our destination? Directly below Celestia. It's like a cavern. Muddy mountain textures everywhere overhead, meaning that they have no collision. A lot of the textures around here do not. Because these textures are only visible from one side, it makes getting lost incredibly easy if you stop moving in one direction. Look at that. There's at least 5 or 6 textures converging on that one point. Uh-oh. How is he still sliding down? It's a nearly vertical wall. What is this, Mega Man? Nope, there's the drop. This is gonna be a doozy to climb out of. We've reached the bottom, where there's black grass, and also a grass texture that's black. So far, the only other place I've seen this is clear on the other side of the map, in a flat zone southeast of Seirai Island, where a small blotch is splattered like ink. Ah, it appears we've reached our destination. That's Celestia up there. Only half visible because there's a ceiling texture over top this location. Yep, climbing out is gonna be a doozy alright. Good thing I've got Xiao, one of the few characters capable of climbing this, and inarguably, the best of them. Climbing stamina cost reduction and the ability to regain stamina during the climb. That place is so far down there that I can't even see it anymore, and I'm still not done climbing. There we go. How long did that take? Oh geez. This is the most jagged land I've ever seen. Can barely stand on it without sliding all over the place. I really can't help but wonder why the land is drawn like this. Whatever the case, I think we're nearing the end of our adventure. There are still a few areas to explore around here, but from what I can see, they all seem to be... Wait, is that? It is! The plain dark texture from those test areas we covered in a previous video, but in the form of a wall. That's so cool. The green screen spot is real. For anyone curious about the location, it's here on the map. And with that, I think we can wrap up this expedition. There are plenty other sites similar to the ones we just covered. Those hidden underwater that look an awful lot like test areas for the developers. If you're interested in that, got a whole video covering them. Do make sure to subscribe, and if you're curious about whatever other oddities I happen to find, oh my dear sweet Nilou, what has happened to you? Feel free to follow me on Twitter @Moosashi. This is Moosashi, signing off. Till next time.